Welcome to Born or Made, the podcast that dives deep into the heart of success and identity. Are the traits that define us as leaders ingrained from birth, or are they carved out throughout our experiences? Join your host, Anne-Marie LaTulip, as we ask these questions to some of the most insightful and inspiring entrepreneurs of our time. Each episode, we explore their journeys, the decisions that shaped them, and how they've molded their own paths to success. So whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, a seasoned business owner, or simply curious about the interplay between nature and nurture in professional growth, you're in the right place. Get ready for compelling stories, transformative insights, and a new perspective on what it really takes to make it in the world of entrepreneurship.
Hello and welcome back to the Born or Made podcast. I am your host, Anne-Marie LaTulip. And with me today, I could not be more excited to tell you who I have with me today. I have the lovely Ella Glasgow. Ella is an award-winning vocalist, two-time best-selling author, and the visionary consultant behind Unforgettable Virtual Events. As the founder and executive producer of Beyond Virtual Events, Ella's expertise lies in crafting transformative experience that captivate audiences and elevate brands. Now, if you want to read Ella's full bio, you can do that on the show notes, but I just want to get right to it and get talking to this rock star. Ella, how are you?
I am well. How are you? Thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, I'm so thrilled to have you here. This is great. Now, like I said, we heard a little bit about you. I know who you are, but for anyone that might not, I would love it if you could just take a couple minutes and tell us about Ella.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely is me in a nutshell. My background is that I am a professional entertainer, and I still do that.
Yeah.
I've taken all of those years of being on the stage and bringing that level of creativity. And specifically, one of the things that I really employ is my time at Disney, my brainwashing at Disney.
Wait, I got to stop you. I would love to hear about that. Can you talk a little bit more about, because I too used to work at Disney, so we might have the same brainwash.
We are equally brainwashed. Things like I will never point with one finger ever again.
That is
and everything must be magic. So
yes, with fairy dust. Yeah.
Right? With all kinds of fairy dust. And I love being able to bring that aspect to clients because most people aren't thinking about that level of excellence when it comes to putting their events together and putting their podcasts and things together. So I am bringing those things. So things that people, when I say magic, I'm talking about those elements when you're at Disney and things just seem to happen. Those things should be happening at your events. I don't need to see the wizard behind the curtain, as it were. And oftentimes when people are not used to that level of performance and creating that level of performance, they will do their absolute best. And I commend you for trying, but there are just some things you simply don't know because you either haven't experienced it before from behind the scenes, or you haven't been a part of a production that is put together that way. So little things like I say, I'm going to say little things. And Anne-Marie, it's the little things that become big things. And when we don't take care of little things like making sure everybody is muted before we start that meeting inside of Zoom and wondering why we can hear everybody.
Absolutely. But if it were missing, right, that's exactly what you're saying. Seems to us, but it's a major mistake if something goes wrong. So yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I would love to hear a little bit about, so your main jam is, live virtual events, sprucing them up, making them fantastic, spreading fairy dust all over the place, right? So do you only do virtual events or do you do some work with live events as well?
So here's a funny thing. I want to make sure that we understand what I mean and what it means by virtual events. When I'm speaking about virtual events, I'm speaking about live virtual events, not necessarily pre-recorded webinars or, you know, on my website in the beginning of the thing that happened in 2020. Are we allowed to say it? The pandemic.
Yes, okay. You can say anything.
In the beginning of the pandemic, on my website, it said webinars are so 2019. Because those standards were, you threw something pre-recorded up onto a screen, and those have been going on for 100 billion years. And there's no interaction. And if there is interaction, it is actually fake interaction. Somebody's pre-recorded that, and those comments and things that you're seeing are not by people that are actually there at that moment.
So true. Yeah, so true.
You missed the train. Now you're watching the pre-recorded happening.
Right.
And what we produce for our clients are live, interactive events. And we do those inside of Zoom. And I know that Zoom has gotten a bad rap, kind of like Google has become a verb. Zoom has also become a verb. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that the bad characteristics that have been pushed onto Zoom are not the fault of Zoom. They are the proverbial you fault.
Right. Yeah.
Because I liken Zoom to a Hilton hotel event space, or any event space. We're just going to use Hilton, like the high-end Hilton.
Yeah. Okay.
And you going into the Hilton and calling them up and saying, I'd like to book a room because I have an event of 100 people that are coming to be a part of this thing that I'm doing. And they say, great. And they give you the room. Now, you haven't talked to them about what you want in the room. You haven't talked to them about how many chairs you need. You told them there's 100 people, but do you want these types of chairs? Do you want round tables, long tables? Do you need a stage? Do you need lights? Do you need AV? Do you need all of these things you haven't talked to them about? You get to the Hilton on the day of your event and find an empty room, and then get mad
at the Hilton.
Your event was a flop because the hotel didn't tell you how to run your event.
Oh, that's such a great analogy. I love that.
Zoom is an empty space, and it's up to you to dress it and take care of it the way that you want to, which is why people can have 1 trillion different events at the Hilton and none of them feel the same. But people are like, but everything feels the same inside of Zoom. That's not Zoom's fault.
Nope. I love that. So that's what you do.
That's what I do. I could talk about this for days. I'm going to stop now because clearly.
Well, no, I mean, I really want to, I love it. Because I think a lot of people overlook that. Like you said, I mean, a lot of people think I'm having an event on Zoom. That's it. We just log on and everybody's there and it's, there's no prep. Right. So I think that's really important for people to know.
Yeah.
And I would love to hear, I have to admit, I did watch a little bit of your TED Talk, which I thought was fantastic. And if you wouldn't mind sharing with us how you sort of got started doing these live virtual events, because I know the story. I would love it if you would share it.
Yeah. So at the beginning of the pandemic, my son was turning 5 years old, and we had planned his birthday party. So this is February. We planned his birthday party, and I hadn't heard back from any of the parents because, he's in pre-K, and we hadn't had any connection with any of the parents at that time. So hadn't heard back from anyone. And then all of this pandemic chaos starts brewing. So I said to his teacher, if things have to change, if the school has to shut down, because that's where we were at that moment. Yeah. If the school has to shut down, is there a way for you specifically to get to the parents to let them know that we're changing course for his birthday? And she said, yeah, what are you thinking? And I was like, I can't, in my mind, I said, I can't tell you my plans of world domination right now, but just know something is happening. So, and the thing is, before that moment, I had said to my husband, what are we going to do for his birthday? And he said, I don't know. I said, what if we take it online? And his immediate reaction was, that's weird. Now, you have to understand, my husband has been with me since 2010. Okay. At this point, he knows that there is always some harebrained idea in this entrepreneur's mind.
The entrepreneur mind, there it is.
Some of them are going to be crazy, and some of them are going to work brilliantly.
Right.
We never know what we're going to get out of this box, but it will always be creative. And so that's kind of where we were. And I didn't say anything to him again after that moment. I've also learned in our time together to just keep it to myself and keep on trucking. And I'll bring you the spoils of my rewards afterwards. So that happened on like a Thursday or Friday. They shut down the school on Friday. That weekend, I put up a website, onlinebirthdayparties.com, which is no longer there. I just saw that I let it expire, so it's gone.
Oh.
But someone else can have it. I was surprised that I got it. I will gift it to you. Go ahead, do it.
I didn't know that part of the story. That part of the story I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah. So I bought onlinebirthdayparties.com, put up a website over the weekend because I happen to like building websites. And on Monday, went to my networking group and said, last week I came to you looking for coaching clients and gigs. This week, I'm coming to you bringing you online birthday parties. Who wants one? And they're like, that's amazing. So it really started from there. And the thing was that I saw far into the future. Honestly, for me, it was like a 2008 moment. But in 2008, I was on a cruise ship in the middle of the ocean. I didn't get to like take part in all of that amazingness and money changing hands. I wasn't here for it. When I saw this pandemic, I said, wait, I am here.
Yeah.
I see you. You will not pass me by this time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is so brilliant because before the pandemic, I think maybe I had used Zoom, maybe, I don't know. I was selling real estate back then. So maybe, 3 or 4 times, maybe. Mm-hmm. Then after the pandemic, it's like, I don't go a day without Zoom, ever. So I love that you were sort of, I guess an early adapter of the live virtual events via Zoom. So that's cool. Yeah.
Well, the thing is that I had been on Zoom since the very moment that Zoom had been made available to the public, because it was a corporate a corporate app first. So I believe it was like 2000, it's either like 2000, between 2012 or 2000, like 2012, I think is when it was first initiated. And the minute I was able to leave Skype and go to the Zoom, because I was teaching online. I've been online for a very long time, working online.
Yeah.
And as Zoom came out, I was even where I was in Orlando was trying to get people to network with me online, because think of this, like, this, Anne-Marie, look, we go to a networking event that happens at like 12 o'clock. It takes us 30 minutes to get there. We're going to spend an hour there. And depending on traffic, by the time it's done, it's going to take you another 30 minutes to get back. That's already 2 hours. And the place where I was, people want me to go like 45 minutes across town. And then spend an hour or two because you like them, and there's going to be another 2. That you literally taken my entire day.
Yeah.
And so I was like, let's meet on Zoom. They'd be like, I'm like, you are literally taking my whole day. I can't. So when this pandemic happened, I was like, praise the Lord. Finally, I don't have to force it anymore. I've been beating that drum.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just so funny how widely embraced it is now compared to how it used to be. I mean, it's, and I wondered if after the pandemic, if it would sort of kind of go back to the way things used to be, but it really hasn't. There's so much happening online.
There's
now.
So much happening.
So I would love to hear a little bit about how you got started in singing, like little Ella. How did you get started singing? What was that like? Tell me about that.
So little Ella, it's so interesting that you ask me this, because I got an opportunity to interview one of my inspirations, which happens to be my aunt.
Okay.
Very recently. It's on my YouTube channel. Gloria Scott is her name.
Oh, I'll have to watch. Okay.
Yeah. And she was one of my earliest inspirations. I was inspired by a lot of things when I was a kid. I wanted to be everything that had to do with performing. And I was very fortunate. I know that this is not everybody's story. I was very fortunate that I had parents who essentially, this particular memory wraps up my entire childhood. Graduating from college with my second degree in music, my mother said to me, I remember when you were smaller and I was afraid of, what you would be able to become. Like, what are you going to do with this music love that you have? And your dad said to me, if she doesn't try, she'll never know.
I love that. I love
So
that.
I tried everything. I tried everything that I had the opportunity to try. And there were more things that I didn't have the opportunity to try. But when it came to music and performance and being creative, my parents never stopped me from that and helped me to really cultivate those things the best way that they could with the resources that they have. And they were minimal in those regards. They put me in the piano lessons and when I was able to, I took the dance lessons when I got older. When I say older, I mean like out of high school and I could pay for them myself.
Oh,
So,
wow. Okay.
but I always danced because I always wanted to be a dancer. So I found ways to dance the way that I could, before YouTube was a thing. I
Mhm.
was deep in the VH1 and MTV because that was our YouTube. That was when we actually had videos of music.
Right. Oh, don't even get me started on that. Like, seriously, do they even play music videos on MTV anymore?
I don't even know. I haven't
I
looked
don't
at
think
those
they do.
channels in 100,000 years, and I
Yeah,
love.
I don't think they do. But anyway, so where did you grow up, by the way?
So, I'm a military brat. So
Dang. Okay.
I started in California, where I was born,
Okay.
and then traveled over to Panama City, Florida.
Okay.
Then we moved to Panama City, Panama. Then we moved back to Panama City, Florida, and that's where I remained for my very informative years. And then from there, I moved to Nashville for school.
Oh, you went to school in Nashville. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that's where the second degree came from. I went to Belmont University. So
Oh, I love that. Okay, cool. So were you doing musical theater and things as a kid, or was it mostly when you got older that you started really performing?
yeah, so I didn't know how to access um, the musical theater and things. I'm not going to sit here and say that like Panama City is like, wrought with musical opportunities, but um, I do know that people found opportunities that I didn't. I did what I could do and what I thought could make things happen. So if I found an open mic night somewhere, I would be there. There was a local coffee shop that I used to go to all the time, and I would sing my Beatles songs and because I was going to marry Paul McCartney when I was a kid, and then he married somebody younger than me, but that's another story. So
How dare he? How dare he?
I mean,
Well, it's his loss.
right?
His loss.
She's gorgeous, but I digress. So, but yeah, so I did whatever I could do to be able to fill that creative itch, because when I was in elementary school, the elementary school that I went to, while it was a quote unquote private school, and I put that in air quotes because it was on a military base, and at the time it was very not public, um, but it wasn't like private in the sense of the private school that I ended up going to after.
Okay.
So, so that school, my elementary school, had choir and theater to the point that our music teacher put on plays, and it was to the point that my parents so knew that I wanted to do this and so encouraged me. In third grade, I was the lead in our patriotic school musical play.
Oh, how fun.
My dad made my pants for me because he would like tailor things for me from time to time and create things for me. And we were supposed to go to Trinidad, which is where my father is from, for, I don't know if it was for somebody's funeral or what was going on, but I said to my parents, for this third grade musical play that nobody from anywhere in the world is going to see besides the people at Tyndall Elementary School, I said, I can't go because I need to do the show. And they found somebody for me to stay with while they went to Trinidad so that Ella could make her lead debut in 3rd grade. That's how supportive my parents were.
Oh my God. That probably doesn't happen very often. I mean,
I don't think so.
that is incredible. I love that. So that was like, I guess maybe your entrance into the grandiose life of a performer, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So let's pivot a little bit and move forward now. So the idea,
Sure.
I think I told you before we hit record, the idea of the show, and for anyone that might not know, is it's called Born or Made. So are we born with this crazy entrepreneurial spirit and mindset, or does it evolve over time based on experiences, decisions we're faced with? So I want to ask you, Ella, do you feel that you were born or made?
There's a part of me, I feel that it's both.
Okay.
Because I believe at the end of the day, we were all born to be creative. But our environments will dictate how deeply we go into that natural creativity that we all have. We all have access to all of the things that come with making us who we are. But where we happen to be born into will shape how those particular traits come out. So for me, I happen to be born into a very musical family on all 3 sides, because you watch my TED Talk, you know that there are 2 mommies. So I have 3 sides of my family.
Okay.
And and these things I found out when I got older, because in my immediate space of family, living day to day, my dad is comical, my mom is musical, but that wasn't their aspiration. They were in the military, they were doing their thing. My birth mom was musical and had that aspiration, in the sense of that she was like, in tops and blue in the Air Force, but not to like go off and make that her career. Whereas aunts and uncles of hers did make part of that their career. And I found out these things as I've gotten older. So I think that all of that was kind of birthed into me. And while not everyone in my family, immediate and extended, not everyone has taken on to those particular traits, they've latched onto the things that they feel the most drawn to. For instance, while my middle sister happens to be quite musical and loves writing songs, her passion, which has been literally since she was like 10 or 11 years old, made the statement. Not labor and delivery. She is now, this has since changed. She is now a nurse midwife practitioner. But when she was 11 years old, she came to me. Now she's 6 years younger than me.
Okay.
She came to me with this baby book. I remember this so vividly. She came to me with this baby book. It was like a big, the big books that are like bigger than a kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like black and white pages, like completely dense medical type book.
Okay.
And she said, "Do you see this picture here?" Imagine 11-year-old. "Do you see this picture here? This lady is screaming and writhing in pain in a cold hospital, giving birth to a baby." Next page. "Do you see this woman here? Beautiful, comfortable, in a warm tub, giving birth in a natural way. That's how you're going to have your babies."
Oh, no.
Okay, 11-year-old.
That's not where I thought that was going, but
This is what she told me at 11.
that is
Now she
funny.
tells people that now she is that person who can legally tell people that. But she doesn't in a hospital. She very much is for hospitals at this point.
That's funny. And is that what you did? I hope to make her happy.
I did not, but I will tell you that having her be on staff she was a labor and delivery nurse at the time that I had my son. And the moment that she found out that I was pregnant, she was already ticking off, like making check boxes of who in that hospital was allowed to be on the floor. And she wasn't like the leader, right? She's not like the manager of the hospital. She's like, who can be on the floor when my sister gives birth? And so by the time it happened, there were certain people who she was like, nope, you cannot be a part of this. You cannot be a part of this. You can come in. And she had everything lined up. She purposely wasn't working. I mean, obviously not knowing when I was going to be giving birth, but they already knew if Ella was giving birth, she will scrubs off. She's off the floor.
Oh, wow. Well, that's great. That must have been such a relief, though, to know she was there. Like, can't even imagine. That's fantastic. Yeah. So, how many kids do you have?
One, and I'm good.
That's it? How old is he?
He is now 9 years old.
Oh, fun age, right?
It's so. He just turned 9. I'm not okay with it.
Going to enter show business?
You know, he has had his dream. So here's what's interesting. You know, we talked about, you know, what things are birthed into us.
Yeah.
Now, for him, he's got a mommy who's a performer. He's got a daddy who's not a performer, but is a total screwball.
in the best way possible.
In the best way. But we're both creative because my husband is an executive pastry chef. So we're both creative, and he also comes from a musical family background as well. I'm going to tell you a secret. If you hear him singing,
yes,
you just because that is the moment that he's going to sound amazing. Because the moment he realizes that you are listening to him, then he like starts trying. You know, people try, and then he starts being silly and goofy about it. But he kind of is annoying because his voice is so good and he doesn't even have to try. I'm like, do you know how hard I worked to get?
Don't you hate that? I know. Some people make it look so easy, but I'm guessing that you're pretty fantastic, better than you say you are.
He just makes sounds come out sometimes. I'm like, I don't even understand you. I really kind of hate you right now. But but my son has said since he pretty much could talk, that he wants to be a scientist. And the moment that I knew that, I hope it's okay for me to tell you this story. Like,
tell me anything. Oh no, we can talk about anything you want.
He wanted to, at 3 years old, I remember so many things I remember so vividly, but I had a conversation with him before I'd gotten on the phone to talk to my mom. And he came to me, we were in the living room and going into the kitchen, and he said, Mommy, he's 3 years old. Mommy, what is, and I'm saying it like that because I honestly had no clue what he was saying at that moment in time.
Okay.
Get on the phone with my mom, have the phone call. In the midst of the phone call, my 3-year-old child says to me, Mommy, phytoplankton is at the bottom of the ocean and da-da-da-da-da, and goes off on this tangent. I was like, hold on, Mom, just a second. Excuse me, child. Were you asking me before about phytoplankton? And it was at that moment that I realized that homeschooling was not for me. He was above my pay grade. There was no way that I could help him. I was like, and it wasn't because he said it in a way that was not understandable. It's just that I'm not expecting phytoplankton to be a word coming from a 3-year-old's mouth. It was totally caught off guard.
So where did that even come from? Was it maybe TV or something? So
he watches the things that I liked to watch when I was a kid, which these things, I wasn't a kid, I was older. But anyway, Magic School Bus, that's what he watches that a lot. And we watched a lot of scientific shows just because we were pretty adamant about making sure we knew what he was watching and things that were going to be educational to him and not Teletubbies.
Yeah. Oh, cute. That's so cute. A scientist. Well, good for him. Good for him. That's awesome. I want to ask you a little bit more about, we were talking about entrepreneur and, performing versus entrepreneurship. I want to know, do you feel like your history with performing sort of gave you that confidence you needed to go out and start your business? You think had you not come from a performing background, would you still feel the way you feel about starting your business?
That's a good question because I don't know. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to actually say no. And here's the reason why. For a very, very long time, I was afraid to do exactly what I'm doing with you right now, and that is speak words beyond song. And because my identity for, at this point, 20 plus years has been Ella the singer, Ella the vocalist. And when I started working with my business coach in 2015, she was the one who pushed me into basically live stream production. And that was in 2015 because that was when, like, Facebook was starting to do live streams and all that fun stuff. She was like, you need to be going on video. And I was like, hails to the no. Nobody wants to hear me speak. No, ma'am. And she said, you have so many things to say. And I said, I do, but nobody wants to hear that. That is what I thought to myself. People just want to hear me be a singer. And you have heard this in the entertainment space, whether you have been one that's thought it or you have been one that has heard it said. When an entertainer of any kind gets up to speak something outside of their box of entertainment, we're like, shut up, sit down, just sing your song. So I had no reason to believe that anybody wanted to hear anything from me of substance. So It took a while for me to push through that. It's the reason why on my talk show now, I have entertainers speak and not just do their entertaining thing. I don't need you to shuck and jive for me. I want to hear what's going on in your mind. Now, some people, some entertainers, some creatives have more to say than others. Some of them, they're just not in that space to really talk beyond what it is that they're doing in that moment with their craft. And then there are others. I had an artist on a couple of weeks ago. She's a live painter, and the advocacy that she has for those with ADHD and what she's doing in her community to help, the reason why she paints and what she's doing with her paintings is absolutely incredible.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So I would say no, performing is not what encouraged me to be an entrepreneur, because most performers don't realize that entrepreneurship is literally what they're doing.
That's basically kind of why I asked that question, because it was sort of the gateway, and it's interesting that you say that, because I feel very similarly. And, you put me on a stage, give me a script, put me on a stage, and I'll knock it out of the park. It doesn't scare me at all. But if you gave me a microphone and said, get up there and speak for 10 minutes, I think I'd throw up. It's just different, right? And for me, it's like, if I'm playing a character, that's great. I'll play a character. But if I'm just me, that's what's scary.
Yeah, it's scary, and it took me a while to find me. And I can tell you, the moment that I knew that the exploration of me, that journey of getting to me and being able to be me was complete, not complete, I should say, was fruitful, was the moment that I was working with, at the time I was still doing voice coaching. And I was working with a young girl, and I had invited her and her family to come out to a venue that I was performing at later that evening. And the mother and husband came out to watch. And during the break in the first session, she said to me, oh my God, you are literally the same person on stage that you are in the studio. And I was like, you don't understand how much that means to me, because look, I've been working so hard to just be me in all instances. So that was the moment I was like, okay, all right, this work is paying off. I can be me. Because, like, Anne-Marie, it's very easy for us as entertainers to put on a show.
Yeah.
And a lot of entertainers, when you meet them on the outset, they're entertainers I know that you've come across, entertainers that I've come across, that they're just exhausting because of how much they're still in their show in a one-to-one moment.
Yes. Oh, I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
Yeah. And it takes work to understand where the true you is, and be willing to live through all colors of you and be okay with knowing that people will accept or reject those said colors, because not everybody's going to understand or want to have you in those deep, intense moments.
Right.
And that's okay. And as entertainers, sometimes that can feel very scary because it feels like rejection, because that's literally our life, is being rejected. Right?
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah.
want to be rejected. We don't want to be rejected. And so you rejecting just the side of me that is speaking with more intensity now in the terms of deepness, as opposed to all up and hype all the time, that can feel scary.
That, I mean, to me, that would be the ultimate rejection. I mean, it's one thing to get rejected for a role.
Exactly.
But to get rejected for being your true self, it's terrifying.
It absolutely is. And the work continues. It's not a work that just suddenly, you've done it and you're done. It's every day. I can tell you that even up to, as early as the last show that I did, when I say show, I'm talking about my live stream.
Okay, good. Thank you for clarifying. I wasn't sure.
Yeah. I know everything's a show for me. So the last live stream that I did, even up to that moment, turning that camera on, getting that mic ready, is still nerve-wracking for me.
Yeah.
Because it's just me. Now it's a hyped version of me. Yeah, but it's still me. And I get scared. I'm like, am I going to say the right words? Am I going to look like a doof, like trying to interview this person? Like, who are you to like, those thoughts go through my mind and I work through it.
Yep. It's imposter syndrome. And we all, I mean, I think as entertainers, we might have it a little bit worse than others. But yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, starting this podcast, that was something I never thought that I would be able to do ever. This is such a huge accomplishment for me, but I can't tell you I wasn't nervous getting on here with you today. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, it's the same struggles, I think.
It can be a struggle. And one of those things, you talk about starting the podcast. It's one of the reasons why I asked the question of who I can help with podcast production.
Yeah, I would love to hear more about this. Yeah, why don't you tell us what you're thinking?
Yeah, so I know that people that are starting out, first of all, the very fear of just being themselves on video. First of all, you want me to get on a camera? What? Because we know video is powerful. It's something that is needed, right? Even more powerful than just hearing your voice, being able to see you and being able to see what movements you're making and what's around you. All of those things help to bring that familiarity and that willingness for us to maybe want what it is that you're selling.
Right.
It makes it even better for it to be on video. That being said, you've already got anxiety about, and I'm saying the proverbial you,
right.
You've already got anxiety about being on camera. You've already got anxiety about whether or not people are going to like what it is that you have to say. You already have anxiety about if you have even enough to talk about for more than 2 minutes. You've already got anxiety about if people are even going to want to come and be on your show. You've already got anxiety about whether or not you have the pieces and tools to connect the things together. There's so much that goes into podcasting, being video podcasting, that is more than just picking up your phone and recording your voice.
Yeah.
Right? So that anxiety is already there. I get that. My goal is to really make it as easy for you as I make it for my virtual event clients. That literally all you need to do is let me ask you some questions about what it is you want to do with your podcast. You answer the questions that I have. They're going to be extensive questions because I want to understand what it is that you're doing.
Sure.
And then you're going to go do your thing. I may ask you another couple of questions. You might send me another couple of things that I need. And by the time it's time for you to have your podcast, I will have created for you your digital studio so that all you have to do is show up and talk. You don't have to worry about whether or not the video is looking right, whether or not you're framed correctly, whether or not your mic is working, because I'm going to give you the tools to understand how to make that the best. Not only that, I'm going to make sure that when your guests come in, we are also going to make sure that they look their best, because they're not there to look like a fool either.
Right.
So, and I'm doing that in a way, I am producing your show in a way that by the time we're done, all of your graphics are already done. Like, they're already there. All of your whatever call outs that you have, they're already in that podcast. Whatever intros you want, everything that you would have done in post, I'm doing for you in pre, and we're doing it, running it like a show. So that by the time we're done recording your podcast, if we didn't live stream it, well, first of all, if we live stream it, then it's done.
Yeah.
You don't have to post it anywhere because it's already done. There's no going back to have to like cut out things and like do all of this and all of that. I'm doing all of that for you.
Now, is that similar to your live stream show? I love it, the pink and yellow. I don't know if anyone has seen Ella's live stream show, but it's a really cool graphic, the way that she has it edited. So yeah, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. So that show in particular, so that live stream is actually a lead magnet for myself and the virtual event production. So the people that you see are all inside Zoom with me. From the live stream side, you can't tell that we're inside Zoom.
No.
Exactly. But the people inside of Zoom know that we're inside of Zoom, but it doesn't even look like Zoom for them either. So they are seeing everything that you're seeing in the live stream, they're seeing inside of Zoom in a very particular way. And that lead magnet for me is the opportunity for people. It's basically a mini showcase event, because a lot of times people ask me, well, you know, what's the difference between you and like what I'm doing inside of Zoom? And as one of my last guests that came on, she was like, I have never seen anything run like this inside of Zoom.
Really?
Really, because I run things very, very differently, because I'm practicing what I'm preaching, first of all.
Sure, yeah.
I have actually been testing this out. While it's been a lead magnet for me, I've had in my mind already that I wanted to do something like this, and I've been testing this out for myself for the past year and a half.
Okay. And that's interesting, because I was going to ask you. Yeah. Sorry, I was going to ask you, what platform are you using to do your live stream? I did not know it was Zoom.
Yeah. So I'm obviously not using Zoom, because I mean, as in the Zoom is not the platform that is streaming it out. There are there are two different platforms that I'm connecting together.
Okay.
To make that happen. Zoom, and the reason why I don't just straight out do Zoom is because, as you know, when you use Zoom, and I had a television show, a network digital television show, digital network show, years ago. And back then, before I had these tools, it was very challenging to have to, like, you know, you get your guest, you get in the Zoom, and then you have to like go afterwards. And it takes hours to do the editing. Like, if you're going to like do it right, if you don't want it to just be side by side, and I didn't want it to just be side by side because, you know, I'm me and I needed to be like, look like a real TV show. So I had to, you know, take that B-roll that I had created beforehand, and I would have to like go in there and put that in, and then I would have to take them and go and carefully scrub through. And don't you dare scrub through fast. Don't you dare scrub through fast, because you're going to miss the moment that they were on screen by themselves.
Yeah.
And then you have to, and not just them being on screen by themselves. And it's not about that. It's about the fact that you're going to have to cut this thing down. You have to like make their square bigger, and all of these things that have to happen, and then put your graphics on, and depending on how involved your graphics are, it's like all of that takes time to do that in post.
Yeah.
And for me, once I got to this place of having done so many virtual events, and then when I said, okay, what can I do to have people have an opportunity to see how I produce inside of Zoom? What can I do that's not going to make me annoyed to do it on a consistent basis?
Such an important question.
Right? And doing the show the way I had done it in the past was not going to work for me, because when it's done, I'm done. I don't want to have to go back and do anything else. So it's not to say that there's not any work that has to happen up front. Yes, I just happen to edit in pre instead of in post. And my things now at this point, because it's templated at this point, there are very few things that I have to do to just, you know, make that show run. at this point. It's changing out, a couple of things, names, pictures, and putting it into my app that I use to create those moments. So that by the time I get done with the show, I'm pushing a few buttons on my Stream Deck that is literally already, like, this one's already set up for the show tomorrow. So I know all I have to do, push my button. The buttons need to be pushed. Boop a doop a doop.
Wow, I don't even know what Stream Deck is. So thank you for showing me that.
Yeah. Look, the Stream Deck is life. And I am still debating whether or not I should. There's a bigger Stream Deck that's like 30 buttons. This one's only 15. And some days I'm like, I should have gotten that 30 button. Should have done it. Because I have like 2 pages on this right now. But
so is each button like a preset, or is that sort of okay?
Yeah. So I take the show, I have it set to map to certain buttons, whatever scenes. Basically, I'm running a TV show.
Okay.
So if you were to walk into a TV studio, they would have a switcher of some kind that would move through whatever scenes you're seeing. Like somebody's pushing a button in that studio to make those lower thirds pop up. Somebody's pushing a button in that studio to make that, that inlay come up besides, or put the panelists side by side. Somebody first of all created those graphics, and then somebody's pushing the button to make that happen on the screen. I just happen to be all those people in one for my production. That being said, some people love to do that. I love to do that. But I recognize that most small business owners don't want to do that.
Or don't know how.
Don't know how. Want to have it be amazing and not look like a hot mess, but don't know how to not look like a hot mess, and don't have the time or the desire to do the work that it takes to learn this particular stuff. And I'm that person to help you not have to do the work, just answer the questions and show up and be great.
How did you learn that?
I had a natural proclivity for technical things because my dad was a computer analyst in the military. And so back in the day, back in the Commodore 64 days.
Oh my goodness.
Back when we took books that were 300 pages long and teeny tiny font, and you have to program every single letter and dot to get the ping pong to go across the screen. Those were my days. I
remember that.
I don't miss
black and
days.
Green computer, the black screen with the green.
Yes. And then you'd be so mad because you missed one point out of those 300 pages and you had to go back and do the whole thing again.
Oh, yeah.
I don't miss those days.
Yeah.
But that's how it started for me. I've always been a tech head. And with that being said, I love tech, but I love things also to be simple. So to a degree, for instance, there will be a lot of people, and I work with my clients to help them to understand what's going to be the best piece to help them up level even the space that they're in. When we're doing that podcast, I'm having that interview with them about what it is they would like to have happen. We're going to be looking at your space as well. And I like to do what I like to call a shop your space, because we're going to start with where you are. You may not need to go and purchase a bunch of things. I mean, if you want to do what some of the video gurus are telling you and spend $10,000 on a studio space, then if that is your jam, do the thing. But man, first of all, what are you needing that $5,000 DSLR camera for? Do you really need that? Because quite frankly, you already have a very, very well equipped 4K camera in your pocket.
Yeah, right.
The camera I'm looking at you on right now is a phone.
Is it really? Oh.
It really is.
Wow.
Did you notice? Did you know that I'm looking at you on a phone?
No. I didn't. No. And mine's a high definition Logitech right on my computer, and I think it's fine. So yeah, no, I didn't. Yeah. If you can save money, put it somewhere else where it's more needed, right?
Exactly. So I will always recommend the easiest break the hurdle solutions on their side. Let me take care of that heavy stuff. Let me take care of the graphic design for you, the switching of the scenes and understanding how to use that tech. I don't need you to worry about that because you already got enough things to think about.
Yeah.
So for me to tell you, first of all, you need to go get this $5,000 camera. Then you're gonna need how to figure out like all of these these terms, and you have to figure out all of these settings. And well, that's not set right. And I don't have the time. I don't have the time.
Yeah. So talk to me about this pivot that you're heading into with your podcast. Have you started working with any clients on that yet, or is this sort of like a new spark that's just starting, or where are you with that?
Yeah. So right now I am on the hunt for beta clients.
Okay.
For beta clients. So just to, even though I know that it works, this is a new vein of client for me who are not necessarily in the mindset of a virtual event. That's a very different mindset. I also understand that I'm asking people to potentially produce their podcasts in a way that they may not have thought about before, which is for it to be ready to go the minute that we're done. Because most people are thinking, okay, first I got to record it, got to figure out the time to record it, and then I got to figure out the time I got to edit and cut it and splice it and put all the graphics and all the things, all the stuff afterwards. So I'm asking you to really come into a new paradigm with me and basically think of your podcast from a live stream standpoint. And even from a live stream standpoint, if you're one that has been live streaming before, but you are using, a StreamYard or a Be Live, both tools I have used. If you go far enough back into my video archives, you will see it and know it. And the thing is that when it comes to tools like that, my goal for you is to set you apart. Because as Anne-Marie mentioned, my graphics are completely mine. When you look at my show, you know that is the business breakout. It is nobody else's. And you are left wondering, what platform is she using?
Exactly right. That's so true. Yeah.
You do not know. For every single person that used Be Live and StreamYard, I know immediately. And you probably know immediately too. And if they're using Zoom, you know because it's branded. It says Zoom.
Right.
And I don't want that for you. I don't want people to be thinking about the platform. I want people to be thinking about you and what it is that you can do for whatever it is that you offer. So it's branded to you. And they know, just like Anne-Marie knows when she sees that pink and yellow come up on the screen, that it's the business breakout is happening. It's coming on right now.
Yep. Well, that's great. So how would you, if maybe somebody's listening and wants to get in on this, or maybe me, I don't know, how would somebody get in touch? How would somebody who's listening get in touch with you if maybe this is something that they want to explore?
Yeah, depending on when you listen to this, depending on when this gets posted, if the link is not there for you to simply get into my calendar and do something with me, then the best way to get in touch with me is on LinkedIn, LinkedIn or Facebook. Message me and say, hey, Ella, I'm really interested in finding out more about your podcast services, or that I need your podcast services and I really would like to get help from you. And depending again on when you reach out to me, we may already be full swing into it. But right now, at this moment today, it's in beta.
Today is 4/15/2024, and should have the episode up by next week, I'm hoping. So,
hey, yeah. I might have a link by next week. We'll see.
All right. Well, we'll make sure. All right. So one of the things I do on this podcast is when we're finishing up, I ask you sort of a series of rapid fire questions that are kind of silly and not on topic. So if you're okay with that, I'm going to get started.
Yeah.
All right. So what is your favorite book ever?
My favorite book ever, and I haven't read this one in a while, but I feel like I need to go back to it. It's The Emperors of Chocolate. If you have not read this book, I read it for the first time. Hold on, I'm going to see.
I'm going to read. See, that's why I asked this question, because I always get such great suggestions.
I can't see right now in my room if I have it on my bookshelf over here, but I believe it's The Emperors of Chocolate. We're going to make sure because I'm going to look it up.
Okay.
But this book, that make sure that's the title. This book, when I first read it, I was in late high school, early college, and the book, Emperors of Chocolate. We're going to make sure that is the name. Yes, that's it. The Emperors of Chocolate.
Okay.
Subtitle: The Inside the Secret World of Hershey and Mars.
Interesting. And that's funny because that sort of segues to my next question, which is, if you had the chance to go to outer space, would you?
If I had the chance to go to outer space,
maybe I should make it a little bit more simple. If you had the chance to go to the moon, would you?
So here's the thing. My son talks about how he's making these tools for people to be able to do this all the time. And if we're going in the contraptions that he is creating and inventing, then maybe, these mystical, magical things that he's creating for us to be able to, like live our best lives on the moon and on the sun.
That'd be challenging.
He's got these amazing suits dreamed up for us to wear. So then possibly, there's a part of me that wants to go into outer space, but it's not something that I like sit down and think about all the time, like a person who's like their dream is to be an astronaut.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, if the opportunity is there, I'm not going to say no.
No. Oh my God, I would not. Wait, I'm saying right here. No, and nor would I go to see the Titanic ruins either. I'm staying right here with my feet on the ground. I
would totally, if I knew that it was safe, and obviously it is because people do it all the time, but if I knew that it was safe, I would do it. My sister just went and saw the tour, the Titanic tour museum exhibit. She is in Scotland right now, and one of them is over there. So
wow. Oh, I bet that was fascinating.
It looked amazing. She took pictures. I was like, that's what I've been wondering all these years, what it looks like inside that exhibit. It looks amazing. I want to go.
Do you know there's a new movie coming out? It's like The Truth Behind the Titanic or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, it's coming out. I just saw the preview for it last night.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's new. Yeah. So that is, I'm obsessed with the Titanic, but I would not, you heard about this last venture that went down there, obviously yeah. So, but anyway, I digress. That was a tangent we went on there. Okay. And the last question is, if you had the power to go back and change any decision you've made in your life, would you do it?
If I had the power to change any decision I've made in my life, there are too many decisions I would go back and change.
So the answer is yes.
Yes, if I had the power, if I have the power to fix some things that went down, yes.
Yeah, I agree. But some people are like, well, no, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And although I do agree with that to a certain degree, there are some things that I would change if I could.
I'm not going to tell you the things that I would go back and change, but
Yeah, no, not going to ask. Ella, this was fantastic. I absolutely love having you on today. Like I said, I'm going to put in the show notes your link and all your bio and everything about you so everybody can find you if they want to. And I just had such a great time with you today.
Thank you so much for having me on. Bye, everybody.
Bye.